How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, February 27th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite performances and matchups from Friday, February 26th, 2021, and of course, I'm going to review everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Because the NFL and the MLB are currently not in season, I'm going to start with the NBA and jumping into last night's primetime performances. Starting out in Boston, the Boston Celtics were able to beat the Indiana Pacers 118-112 after outscoring the Pacers by 7. That was the only quarter in which any team was able to get any separation from the other, as this game really went back and forth. And for the Indiana Pacers, their leading scorer is their newest, is the Eastern Conference's newest all-star. Their starting power forward, Domantas Sabonis out of Gonzaga, who would finish with 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists in 37 minutes. As Sabonis shot 7 for 12 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 9 for 10 from the free throw line. And for the Boston Celtics in this matchup, their elite starting small forward, Jason Tatum out of Duke, go Duke. Tatum would finish with 9 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists in 38 minutes as he shot 4 for 18 from the field and 1 for 4 from 3. And then the leading scorer for the Boston Celtics would be their elite starting point guard, Kemba Walker, who finished with 32 points, 3 rebounds, and 6 assists in 33 minutes, as Kemba shot 10 for 19 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the line. With this win, the Boston Celtics are now 16-17, which ties them with the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks for the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference. In the playoff picture, all 3 of those teams are half a game behind the 4th place Toronto Raptors, and all of those teams are also half a game ahead of the 9th place Chicago Bulls and the 10th place Charlotte Hornets. And then with this loss, the Indiana Pacers are now 15-16, which is the 8th best record in the Eastern Conference, as they sit 6 whole games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers, and they're also half a game ahead of the Bulls and the Hornets, just to give a sense of where they are. Jumping out really quickly to the other primetime game of the night in Staples Center, the defending champs Los Angeles Lakers were able to host the Portland Trailblazers, and in this matchup, the Lakers will get the best of the Trailblazers, winning 102-93 after outscoring the Trailblazers by 12 points in the third quarter to pick up their 23rd win of the season and to end their losing streak. For the Portland Trailblazers in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their elite starting point guard, Damian Lillard out of Weber State, who finished with 35 points, 3 rebounds, and 7 assists in the 42 minutes as he shot 11 for 24 from the field, 5 for 13 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the line. And then for the Los Angeles Lakers in this matchup, their starting point guard, Dennis Schroeder out of Germany, would come back, and in his first game back, he would finish with 22 points in 32 minutes as he shot 6 for 14 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and a perfect 9 for 9 from the free throw line. And the leading scorer for the defending champs would be their goated small forward, the most recent Finals MVP, Lebron James, who finished with 28 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, and 3 blocks in 36 minutes as he shot 11 for 21 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 8 from the free throw line. With this win, the Los Angeles Lakers are now 23-11. They currently are holding on to the 3rd best record in the Western Conference. In the playoff picture, they are a half of a game behind the Los Angeles Clippers, and they're also 1 game ahead of the 4th place Phoenix Suns, to give a sense of where they stand. And with this loss, the Portland Trailblazers are now 18-14. That is the 6th best record in the Western Conference, as the San Antonio Spurs, and the Golden State Warriors sit a mere 7.5 games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz as of right now in the West. Jumping out to the games that weren't on primetime, first starting on in Tampa, the Toronto Raptors hosted the Houston Rockets, and in this matchup, the Raptors would beat the Rockets 122-111 after outscoring the Rockets by 9 in the second quarter and 7 in the third. For the Houston Rockets in this matchup, their elite starting point guard, John Wall, would finish with 21 points, 2 rebounds, and 12 assists in 36 minutes, as Wall shot 9 for 21 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. And the leading scorer for the Houston Rockets would be their starting shooting guard out of Indiana, Victor Oladipo, who finished with 27 points and 5 rebounds, as well as 2 steals in 36 minutes, as he shot 9 for 21 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the free throw line. For the Toronto Raptors in this matchup, their elite starting point guard, Kyle Lowry, would finish with 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists in 33 minutes, as he shot 6 for 9 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. Their starting shooting guard out of Wichita State, Fred VanVleet, would finish with 25 points and 3 steals in 38 minutes, as VanVleet shot 6 for 23 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, and a perfect 8 for 8 from the line. And the leading scorer for the Raptors would be their starting shooting guard, Norman Powell, who finished with 30 points in 33 minutes, shooting 10 for 15 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are currently sitting at 17-17. That is the fourth best record in the Eastern Conference. In the playoff picture, they are trailing the third-place Milwaukee Bucks by 3.5 games, and they are also half a game ahead of the fifth-place Miami Heat, sixth-place Boston Celtics, seventh-place New York Knicks, and the eighth-place Indiana Pacers to get a sense of where they are. And then with this loss, the Houston Rockets are currently 11-20. That is the second worst record in the Western Conference, as they sit 5.5 games out of the playoff picture, and they are 14 full games behind the first place Utah Jazz. Jumping out to Detroit, the Detroit Pistons hosted the Sacramento Kings, and in a game that would go all the way down to an exchange of free throws, the Sacramento Kings would beat the Pistons 110-107 after outscoring the Pistons by 8 in the fourth quarter. For the Detroit Pistons, in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward out of Notre Dame, I believe, Jeremy Grant, who finished with 30 points and 7 rebounds in 39 minutes as he shot 7 for 17 from the field and 14 for 15 from the free throw line. And then for the Sacramento Kings, their starting small forward out of UNC, would finish with 21 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 40 minutes as he shot 5 for 14 from the field and 9 for 14 from the free throw line. And the leading scorer for the Sacramento Kings would be their starting point guard out of Kentucky, De'Aaron Fox, who finished with 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as 2 blocks in 38 minutes as he shot 9 for 21 from the field and 8 for 11 from the free throw line. With this win, the Sacramento Kings are now sitting at 13-20 as they currently have the third worst record in the Western Conference. They currently trail the 8th place Denver Nuggets by 4.5 games in the conference, as they have lost 9 of their last 10, but of course they were able to end their losing streak right there. And also looking at how the Kings are faring, they're also 13 full games on the first place Utah Jazz. With this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 9-24. They have the worst record in the Eastern Conference, as they are the only team in the conference with a single-digit amount of wins, as they are sitting 13 full games beyond the first place Philadelphia 76ers in the East. Jumping out to Oklahoma City, the Thunder were able to beat the Atlanta Hawks 118-109 after outscoring Atlanta by 10 in the second quarter and by 8 in the third. For the Atlanta Hawks in this matchup, their elite starting point guard Trae Young would finish with 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists in 31 minutes as he shot 7 for 21 from the field and 3 for 9 from 3. And the leading scorer for the Atlanta Hawks would be their starting power forward John Collins out of Wake Forest, who finished with 25 points and 8 rebounds in 32 minutes as Collins shot 11 for 19 from the field and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. For the Oklahoma City Thunder in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their starting shooting guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who finished with 24 points and 5 rebounds in 36 minutes as he shot 9 for 16 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the line. Also, the play of the night will go to Darius Bazley, one of their young players, who in one of the final minutes was able to get a double clutch dunk on John Collins to, of course, seal their win in the final minutes. With this win, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 14-19, just like the Atlanta Hawks. Both teams have the same record, but with this record, the Oklahoma City Thunder have the 4th worst record in the Western Conference as they trail the 8th place Denver Nuggets by 3.5 games in the conference and 12 full games behind the Utah Jazz. With this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are also 14-9, like I just said. They are currently sitting 2 full games out of the playoff picture behind the 8th place Indiana Pacers, and they are 8 full games behind the Philadelphia 76ers in the East as they have lost 7 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Miami, the reigning Eastern Conference champions were able to beat the team that's currently sitting at the top of the West, the Utah Jazz. The Heat won 124-116 after outscoring Utah by 6 in the fourth quarter. For the Utah Jazz in this matchup, their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 15 points, 12 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 37 minutes as Gobert shot 4 for 7 from the field and a perfect 7 for 7 from the line. And the leading scorer for the Utah Jazz would be their elite starting shooting guard, Donovan Mitchell, who finished with 30 points, 6 rebounds, rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 5 turnovers in 36 minutes as Mitchell shot 11 for 26 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3, and 6 for 8 from the free throw line. For the Miami Heat in this matchup, off the bench, their point guard Goran Dragic would finish with 26 points and 2 steals in 33 minutes as he shot 9 for 15 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Their elite starting center, Bam Adebayo, would finish with 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists in 34 minutes as he shot 7 for 14 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the line. And the leading scorer for the Miami Heat would be their elite starting small forward, Jimmy Butler, out of Marquette, who finished with 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists in 35 minutes as he shot 12 for 22 from the field and 9 for 11 from the free throw line. With this win, the Miami Heat are currently sitting at 16-17, which is tied with the Celtics and the Knicks for the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference. In the playoff picture, they are currently sitting half a game behind the Toronto Raptors, and also they are half a game ahead of the 9th place Chicago Bulls and 10th place Charlotte Hornets on the outside looking in, as they have won their last 5 games and they have won 7 of their last 10. With this loss, the Utah Jazz are 26-7. They still have the best record in the entire NBA, as they've won 8 of their last 10, even though they lost their last game. They are still sitting 3 games over the second place Los Angeles Clippers in the Western Conference. So that's where they currently stand at the moment. Jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago Bulls hosted the Phoenix Suns, and in this matchup, the Phoenix Suns would come from behind in the fourth quarter, outscore the Bulls by 16, and win the game by 9 to pick up their 21st win of the season. For the Chicago Bulls at home, their leading scorer would be their newest all-star. Their starting shooting guard out of UCLA, Zach LaVine, who would finish with 24 points and 5 turnovers in 33 minutes as he shot 9 for 16 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the free throw line. And for the Phoenix Suns in this matchup, their starting center, former number 1 overall pick from, I believe, the 2018 draft, DeAndre Ayton, would finish with 22 points and 7 rebounds, as well as 3 blocks in 33 minutes, as he shot 10 for 17 from the field and a perfect 2 for 2 from the line. He tied for the team high in scoring. Their elite starting point guard and 11-time All-Star Chris Paul would finish with 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 15 assists, as well as 3 steals in 35 minutes, as Paul shot 5 for 11 from the field and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. And tied with Ayton for the team high in points would be their elite starting shooting guard out of Kentucky, Devon Booker, who finished with 22 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in 35 minutes, as he shot 9 for 24 from the field and 4 for 7 from the free throw line. With this win, the Phoenix Suns are now 21-11, which is the 4th best record in the Western Conference. In the playoff picture, they are 1 game behind the defending champs Los Angeles Lakers, and they are 3 full games ahead of the 5th place Spurs, 6th place Trailblazers, and 7th place Golden State Warriors at the moment. And they have also won 8 of their last 10, just to give a hint of where the Suns are sitting right now. And looking at where the Chicago Bulls are, with this loss, they are now 15-17, which ties them with the Charlotte Hornets for the 9th best record in the Eastern Conference, as they are half of a game out of the playoff picture and 6.5 games behind the Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference. Jumping out to Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies hosted the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Clippers would come out on top, winning 119-99, especially after outscoring the Grizzlies by 14 in the second quarter, and they outscored them by 2 in every other quarter to pick up their 24th win of the season. For the Memphis Grizzlies, their elite starting point guard, John Morant, out of Murray State, would finish with 20 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in 33 minutes, as he shot 7 for 20 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. And the leading scorer for the Memphis Grizzlies would be their starting center, Jonas Valanciunas, who would finish with 22 points and 11 rebounds in 33 minutes, shooting 9 for 17 from the field and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. For the Los Angeles Clippers in this matchup, their elite starting shooting guard, Paul George, would finish with 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 8 assists in 32 minutes, as he shot 6 for 11 from the field and 1 for 5 for 3 on the night. And their leading scorer would be their goated small forward, Kawhi Leonard, out of San Diego State, who would finish with 30 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists in 35 minutes, as he shot 8 for 13 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 11 for 11 from the free throw line. With this win, the Los Angeles Clippers are now 24-11. That is the 2nd best record in the Western Conference and the NBA for that matter, as they, in the playoff picture, they sit 3 full games behind the first place Utah Jazz following the Jazz loss, and they are still half a game ahead of the defending champs and their Staples Center roommates, the Los Angeles Lakers. They have won 7 of their last 10, and they were able to snap their losing streak. So, good win for the Los Angeles Clippers. And with this loss, The Memphis Grizzlies are now 14-15 as they now have the 10th best record in the Western Conference, as they and the Dallas Mavericks are sitting a game and a half out of the playoff picture and 10 full games behind the first place Utah Jazz, as the Grizzlies have lost 5 of their last 10, to give a sense of where they are. Jumping out to San Francisco, because that's where the new stadium is. The Golden State Warriors were able to host and beat the Charlotte Hornets 130-121 after the Hornets tried to come back in the fourth quarter, but the Golden State Warriors 15-point advantage in the first half would prove too big for the Charlotte Hornets. And for the Hornets in this matchup, their elite starting point guard, LaMelo Ball, would finish with 22 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in 37 minutes as he shot 7 for 16 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 5 for 8 from the free throw line. Their starting shooting guard, Terry Rozier, Scary Terry, would finish with 24 points in 38 minutes as he shot 9 for 16 from the field and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. And the leading scorer for the Charlotte Hornets would come off the bench as their shooting guard out of Kentucky, Malik Monk, would finish with 25 points and 5 rebounds in 26 minutes as he shot 9 for 16 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the free throw line. For the Golden State Warriors in this matchup, their starting shooting guard out of Kansas, Kelly Oubre Jr., would finish with 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Their possible future Hall of Fame power forward, Draymond Green, would finish with 11 points, 12 rebounds, and 19 assists, as well as 5 turnovers in 36 minutes as he shot 5 for 8 from the field and 1 for 3 from 3. And the leading scorer for the Golden State Warriors would be their goated point guard, Steph Curry, who would finish with 29 points, 4 rebounds, and 9 assists in 36 minutes as he shot 8 for 15 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 10 for 10 from the line. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are now sitting at 19-15. That is the 7th best record in the Western Conference, as the Trailblazers and the San Antonio Spurs sit 3 full games behind the Phoenix Suns in the playoff picture, and they also sit 1 game ahead of the 8th place Denver Nuggets, as the Warriors are on a 3-game win streak. They have won 7 of their last 10. With this loss, the Charlotte Hornets are now sitting at 15-17, which ties them with the Chicago Bulls for the 9th best record in the Eastern Conference, as both of these teams sit half of a game behind the 5th place Heat, 6th place Boston Celtics, 7th place New York Knicks, and 8th place Indiana Pacers. And they are 6.5 games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers, just to give you a sense of how close the East is at the very moment. And then with those games, those are all the games from yesterday. Looking forward to tonight's games for Saturday night, starting with prime time on NBA TV at 8 o'clock. The San Antonio Spurs are going to host the New Orleans Pelicans. And then at 8:30 on ABC, the Brooklyn Nets, led by James Harden and Kyrie Irving, are going to host the Dallas Mavericks, led by Luka Doncic. Outside of those games, at 7 o'clock, the Eastern Conference leading Philadelphia 76ers are going to host the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Washington Wizards are going to host the Minnesota Timberwolves as well. At 8 o'clock, the New York Knicks are going to host the Indiana Pacers. The Orlando Magic are going to host the Western Conference leading Utah Jazz. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to host the Denver Nuggets, and those are the big games to look out for today. Jumping out to college basketball, there was only one ranked matchup yesterday, as 21st ranked Loyola Chicago was able to beat unranked Southern Illinois 60-52 behind Marquise Kennedy's 16 points and 5 rebounds. With this win, 21st ranked Loyola Chicago is 20-4 as they are 15-2 within their conference, and with their loss, Southern Illinois is 11-22 as they are 5-12 within the MVC. Looking out to today's matchups, going down by time slotted, because of course today is Saturday, so be prepared for an action-packed day of college basketball. At noon, unranked Indiana is going to host 3rd-ranked Michigan. 18th ranked Texas Tech is going to host 14th ranked Texas on CBS. Unranked Auburn is going to host 25th ranked Tennessee on ESPN. At 2 o'clock, 23rd ranked Wisconsin will host 5th ranked Illinois on ESPN, and 20th ranked Arkansas will host unranked LSU on ESPN2. At 3 o'clock, 7th ranked Oklahoma will host unranked Oklahoma State on ABC. At 4 o'clock, 10th ranked West Virginia will host unranked Kansas State on ESPN2. Unranked North Carolina will host 11th ranked Florida State on ESPN. 16th ranked Virginia Tech will host unranked Wake Forest on ACC Network, and 22nd ranked San Diego State will host unranked Boise State on CBS Sports Network. At 5 o'clock, unranked Xavier will host 13th ranked Creighton on Fox. At 6 o'clock, unranked Mississippi State will host 6th ranked Alabama. 21st ranked Loyola Chicago will host unranked Southern Illinois. Not sure if that's a typo. And then at 8 o'clock, the 17th ranked Kansas Jayhawks will host second ranked Baylor on ESPN. Unranked Utah will host 19th ranked USC as well. And last but not least, at 10 o'clock, first ranked Gonzaga will host unranked Loyola Marymount on ESPN. So that's what college basketball is looking like as of right now. Staying within the arena, but jumping to the NHL. Looking at what's going on in hockey, because every team has to stay within their own division. Starting in the Eastern Division, the New York Rangers hosted the Boston Bruins, who were able to win 6-2 after scoring 3 goals in the second period to pick up their 7th win of the season. With this win, the New York Rangers are currently sitting 6th in the division as they trail the first place Boston Bruins by 7 points in the table, as well as they also trail the Capitals by 7 as well, because they're tied at the top. Jumping out to the West, the Minnesota Wild were able to beat the Los Angeles Kings 3-1, as all 3 of their goals came in the first period, as they picked up their 3rd win of the season, or their 11th win of the season. With this win, the Minnesota Wild are tied with the St. Louis Blues for the 2nd best record in the West Division, as both of these teams are 1 point behind the Las Vegas Golden Knights. And jumping on to the last matchup from last night, the Colorado Avalanche were able to go to Phoenix and then beat the Arizona Coyotes 3-2 behind their center Kadri's 1 goal and 2 assists to pick up their 10th win of the season. With this win, the Colorado Avalanche are now sitting 4th in the division as they sit 2 points behind the Las Vegas Golden Knights in the table. Looking out to what's going on today, especially with the primetime performances, because it is Saturday. The Buffalo Sabres will host the Philadelphia Flyers at 1 p.m. on ESPN+. And then at 8 o'clock, the Chicago Blackhawks will host the Detroit Red Wings on ESPN+, followed by a matchup between the Coyotes and the Avalanche on ESPN+. And then last but not least, taking you outside of the North American continent to take a look of what's going on within the world of soccer, or just global football for that matter. There were no big matchups from yesterday that determined a lot that was going on today. There was one matchup in the Bundesliga that of course meant some things, but of course Eintracht Frankfurt would lose to Werder Bremen 2-1, which would allow Bayern Munich and other teams in the Bundesliga to take advantage of that opportunity. But first, looking out to what's going on today, starting in the Premier League, Manchester City will host West Ham United, as Manchester City do currently own the best record in the Premier League, as they have 10 more points than second place Man U and third place Leicester City. And West Ham United is currently sitting 4th in the table, so a win here would be important, as Chelsea does have an opportunity to pass them up this week if they do lose. And then, though, that's the only big matchup from the Premier League today. Jumping out to the Bundesliga at 9:30, first place Bayern Munich will host FC Cologne, or Köln in German. And right now, Bayern Munich is currently sitting at the top, as they are 2 points over RB Leipzig. So it is very important. It's very crucial for them to win, and they are playing the 5th worst team in the Bundesliga. So there should be an opportunity for them to at least increase their lead, or at least not get passed in the table. Also, Borussia Dortmund will host Arminia Bielefeld at 9:30. Borussia Dortmund currently sits 6th in the table. A win here could possibly move them into 5th, because they are 1 point behind Bayer Leverkusen, and Arminia Bielefeld is the 3rd worst team in the Bundesliga. So this is an opportunity for Dortmund as well. RB Leipzig hosts Borussia Dortmund at 12:30, as RB Leipzig is 2nd in the table, as this should be an opportunity, as they do have an opportunity to overtake Bayern Munich in the table versus the 8th best team in the Bundesliga. In Italian Serie A, Hellas Verona will host Juventus at 2:45, as Juventus is looking to gain traction in Italian Serie A. Hellas Verona is currently sitting 9th. They're sitting 9th in the table, as Juventus is sitting 3rd. A win here could shorten the deficit between them and second place AC Milan, following Milan's loss to Inter last week. And jumping out to La Liga, Sevilla will host Barcelona at 10:15, as Barcelona is still looking to try to take over, or at least jump into that 2nd spot in La Liga. A win here could temporarily put Barcelona into 2nd in La Liga. That would be their highest standing which they had ever placed this year, as this would put a lot of pressure on Real Madrid to win their matchup. And then looking out to Ligue 1, Dijon FCO will host PSG at 11 o'clock as PSG are looking to regain the Ligue 1 title. They currently sit third in the table as a win here could temporarily put them into second over Olympique Lyonnais. And those are the big matchups to look out for today. And of course, with UFC Fight Night, and there's a lot more going on, but that's everything that I got for you for Saturday, February 27th. I want to thank you all once again for listening to all 25 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well, and I will get back to you tomorrow once all of these games are finished for Sunday, February 28th, 2021. And I want to thank you all once again for listening to this piece. I hope all is well, and I will catch you with an episode tomorrow. Or a couple of episodes tomorrow, as I do have individual profiles as well. Once again, thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I will catch you tomorrow.